We live in an age where information is power. But what if I told you there is a dark hack, a psychological strategy that can unlock the deepest thoughts of the human mind and predict someone's every move? The very essence of this mind hack exists within the intricate web of psychology, human behavior, and cognitive understanding. It's not magic but science, and once we grasp it, we gain immense influence. Let's walk through this secret together, step by step. The first step in mastering the mind is observation. It's easy to think we know someone simply because we've spent time with them, but how often do we truly see them? I'm not talking about simply glancing at someone across a room or overhearing their conversations. I'm speaking of a deeper level of awareness, one where we engage not just our eyes, but our entire presence with what is unfolding before us. To master the art of observation, you need to realize that human beings are always communicating, even when they're silent. We live in a world where much of our communication is non-verbal, and we've all been taught the basics of reading body language. But there's an even deeper layer to this, a world of subtle clues that often go unnoticed. It's not enough to simply watch. You must learn to listen with your eyes. Our bodies, in their raw form, are constantly revealing truths that words could never fully express. A flicker in the eyes, the way someone fidgets with their hands, or the tiny shift in posture when a certain topic is mentioned, these are all signs that, when understood, can give you incredible insight into a person's mind. This is where true observation begins. It's easy to miss these signs if we're not paying attention. In fact, most people don't realize they're giving away so much of themselves. A simple, unintentional gesture can reveal everything from doubt and insecurity to excitement or confidence. In the midst of a conversation, you may notice that someone is crossing their arms more tightly. What does that tell you? It's not just a sign of discomfort. It can also be a defense mechanism, a shield against something that makes them feel vulnerable. This is where your understanding of human behavior truly deepens, because now you see that every movement has meaning. Take, for example, the way someone shifts their eyes during a conversation. When a person is telling you something they are passionate about, you'll often see their eyes widen, their gaze steady and direct. But when they are lying or uncomfortable, their eyes may dart away or they might blink more rapidly. These signs, small as they may seem, are the first threads in a web of understanding that can lead you to the heart of a person's thoughts. Yet observation goes beyond simply recognizing gestures. It requires an awareness of context. What is happening around the individual? What environment are they in? If they are in a group, how do they interact with others compared to when they are alone? For example, someone might stand tall, full of confidence when surrounded by people they know, but shrink back when placed in an unfamiliar situation or faced with an authority figure. These contrasts can tell you much about their insecurities, their strengths, and their true nature. Often, people don't realize how their surroundings influence their actions. The more keenly you observe, the more you'll begin to see patterns, small, hidden signals that most would never notice. When you begin to observe these patterns, you move from the surface level of human interaction into a deeper understanding of the emotional currents running beneath the words and gestures. As you get better at this, you'll notice that people's emotions and thoughts tend to follow a certain rhythm, and by identifying this rhythm, you can begin to anticipate how they will respond to certain situations. They may not be aware of it themselves, but their minds are operating in ways that are predictable, based on their past experiences and subconscious reactions. To further refine your observational skills, you must cultivate the ability to remain neutral. Too often we bring our own biases into the way we observe others, and this clouds our judgment. If you walk into a room and immediately form an opinion about someone based on their appearance, you miss the chance to see them as they truly are. It's crucial to detach your judgment and let the person reveal themselves to you naturally. Only then can you fully comprehend what they are truly communicating. And remember, it's not just about what they say, but what they don't say. People are far more transparent when they are silent than when they speak. The silence is often where the truth lies. In this space, you must also cultivate the art of patience. People reveal themselves slowly, and rushing the process often leads to misinterpretation. Just as a piece of music builds its crescendo gradually, so too does human behavior reveal its layers. A single gesture or shift in posture might seem insignificant in isolation, but over time, these small clues accumulate into a deeper understanding. It's like assembling a puzzle, one piece at a time until you see the full picture. And once you can see that picture, it's no longer just about understanding the person in front of you. It's about seeing the patterns that govern their decisions and their actions. Take a moment to think about someone you've known for a long time. Maybe it's a friend or a colleague. The more time you've spent with them, the more familiar you become with their habits, their quirks, and their rhythms. Over time, you can predict how they'll react in various situations, not because they've told you directly, but because you've been keenly observing their behavior. You've noticed the way they clench their jaw when they're nervous, or how their voice rises when they're excited. You've understood how their body language shifts in moments of vulnerability. This, right here, is the power of observation at work. Now imagine applying this kind of observation not just to those you know, but to anyone, whether it's a colleague at work, a stranger you just met, or even a leader in a meeting. By observing closely, you can begin to see patterns emerge. This gives you a remarkable advantage, because you're no longer merely reacting to what others do, you're anticipating, predicting, and responding before they even know what's coming next. In this space, your ability to predict becomes less about reading the obvious and more about sensing the subtle shifts beneath the surface. It's about understanding that people are constantly revealing more of themselves than they realize. And by paying attention to these cues, you can step ahead, understanding the true meaning behind their actions. Once you can read these signals, you hold a powerful tool in your hands, the ability to predict their next move. This mastery begins with observation. It's not just about seeing, it's about truly understanding the human being before you. And when you learn to do this, you unlock the door to a deeper connection with the world around you, one where you no longer simply react to life's movements, but anticipate them with clarity and precision. So, remember, the mind's secrets are not always hidden in words. They are in the body, the silence, and the spaces between actions. When you learn to observe, truly observe, you will uncover more than you could ever imagine. Once you've mastered the art of observation, the next layer to understand is the power of predictive behavior. This is where things start to get really interesting. You see, human beings are creatures of habit. We like to think of ourselves as spontaneous, unpredictable individuals. But in reality, the opposite is true. Our actions, thoughts, and decisions are often driven by patterns that we are not even consciously aware of. These patterns are like roadmaps, leading us from one point to the next. And when you start to understand them, you can predict where a person is heading even before they do. The first thing to recognize is that behavior at its core is repetitive. What a person does today is often an echo of what they did yesterday, and what they did yesterday will likely inform what they do tomorrow. These are not isolated actions, but part of a larger rhythm that plays out every single day. Think about how someone behaves when they wake up in the morning. Do they follow the same routine? Do they have a predictable sequence of actions that they follow without thinking? Most people do. We all have certain habits, whether it's the way we drink our coffee, how we start our workday, or how we interact with people we know. These repeated actions form the foundation of our behavior. Once you begin to observe these patterns closely, something remarkable happens. You start to see that the way someone reacts to a certain situation is likely going to be similar the next time that situation arises. For example, think about a person who tends to withdraw when confronted with criticism. You might notice this in a meeting or even during a casual conversation. They'll shut down, become defensive, or perhaps avoid the situation entirely. This is a pattern. And recognizing it gives you a clue about how they will likely behave the next time they find themselves in a similar scenario. When you understand the rhythm of their reactions, you can predict how they will respond before they even have a chance to react. It's not just about recognizing what they do though, it's also about understanding why they do it. The underlying motivations are critical to predicting behavior. Why does someone become defensive when criticized? Why do they avoid confrontation? Or why do they lash out in moments of stress? Often these motivations stem from deep-seated beliefs, past experiences, or fears. For instance, someone who has had a negative experience with authority in the past may react with defensiveness or avoidance when dealing with a figure of authority, even if the situation does not warrant such a reaction. The more you observe, the more you can start to see the roots of their actions. And once you understand these roots, you can predict what will happen next. This is the key to predictive behavior. It's not just about understanding the visible actions, it's about understanding the forces beneath those actions. It's about reading between the lines of behavior and seeing the subconscious drivers that push people towards certain responses. And this is where the real power lies. When you understand these deeper drivers, you can anticipate someone's reactions with remarkable accuracy. You no longer need to guess what they might do in a given situation. You already know. And once you know, you can position yourself ahead of the curve, ready to respond in ways that guide the conversation, influence the outcome, or even prevent a negative reaction. One of the most fascinating aspects of predictive behavior is the way that these patterns play out in groups. Think about any team or organization you've ever been a part of. The dynamics are predictable once you get to know the individuals involved. Certain people will always speak up in meetings, others will always stay quiet. Some will push for new ideas, while others will resist change. These patterns are not random. They are a direct result of each person's past behaviors, attitudes, and responses. As you observe these group dynamics, you begin to see the roles people play. And this gives you an incredible ability to predict what will happen in future interactions. But predictive behavior doesn't just apply to others, it applies to you as well. We are all part of this cycle. The more you understand the patterns that govern your own behavior, the better you will be at anticipating how you'll react in various situations. This is why self-awareness is a critical part of predicting behavior. If you know that you tend to get anxious in large groups, for example, you can anticipate that you might feel overwhelmed when faced with such a situation. The key is to understand these triggers in advance, so you can prepare yourself and take action to control your response before it controls you. This kind of predictive thinking requires a shift in mindset. Instead of reacting to situations as they unfold, you begin to think ahead, anticipating what might happen and how it will play out. You start to see the underlying structure of every situation, and once you understand that structure, you can navigate it with precision. Whether it's in a business meeting, a social interaction, or a personal relationship, this ability to predict behavior gives you an edge. You can take proactive steps to influence the outcome or simply avoid potential pitfalls. At its core, predictive behavior is about understanding the cycles of human nature. People are creatures of pattern, and these patterns are incredibly consistent once you learn to recognize them. They may try to present themselves as unpredictable, but the reality is that they are operating within a set of patterns that can be understood, analyzed, and anticipated. The more you observe, the more you'll see that our actions are not as random as we like to think. And here's the fascinating part. Once you begin to predict behavior, you don't just anticipate the obvious. You can start to anticipate the subtle shifts, the quiet moments when someone might change course. You'll begin to see when someone is about to make a decision, even before they are consciously aware of it themselves. And that's when you gain the upper hand. Because you can act before they do, guiding the situation in a direction that benefits you. Predictive behavior is not about controlling others, it's about understanding them. It's about recognizing that beneath the surface, everyone is operating on the same fundamental principles. Once you understand those principles, you can navigate the world with incredible insight, anticipating people's moves and making decisions that reflect that understanding. In the end, behavior is a map, and once you know how to read it, you can predict the journey ahead. Now that we've delved into observation and the predictive patterns of behavior, we move into a fascinating and often subtle territory: the power of suggestion. This, in many ways, is the most insidious of the mind hacks, for it operates below the level of conscious awareness. Suggestion isn't about coercion or force. It's not about telling someone what to do directly. It's far more powerful than that. It's about planting an idea in someone's mind and letting it grow, almost imperceptibly, until they believe it was their idea all along. Imagine this for a moment. You're in a conversation, and you casually mention a concept, perhaps a new project or an idea for a weekend activity. Then over the course of the next few days, that idea takes root in their mind. They begin to see it everywhere, think about it constantly, and before long, they're eagerly embracing it as their own. What you did was far more than just offering an idea. You planted the seed of that idea in their subconscious, allowing them to nurture it and eventually take ownership of it. This is the essence of suggestion, and it's a power that many people wield without even realizing it. But how do we make suggestion work for us? It begins with the understanding that the human mind is incredibly suggestible. We like to believe that we make all our decisions based on logic and reason, but the truth is much different. Our minds are constantly being influenced by external factors, by the words we hear, the images we see, and most importantly, the emotions we feel. This is where suggestion begins. It's all about tapping into the emotional currents that already exist within a person and guiding them ever so gently towards a particular thought or action. For example, consider the power of framing. The way you present information to someone can have a profound effect on how they perceive it. Let's say you're offering someone a choice between two options. One is framed as a loss and the other as a gain. Even if the two options are mathematically identical, the way they are framed will influence how the person reacts. If you tell someone you'll lose $100 0 cents if you don't act now, they're likely to feel urgency and anxiety. But if you say you'll gain $100 0 cents if you act now, the reaction is entirely different. The frame you place around the situation subtly guides their emotional response, and that emotional response will drive their decision-making process. This principle applies to far more than just financial decisions. It governs the way we interact with one another on a daily basis. Every word you speak, every gesture you make, has the potential to influence someone's emotions and thoughts. If you want someone to feel more confident, you can suggest it through your language and body language. If you want them to feel more comfortable, you can use words that create a sense of safety and security. These suggestions, subtle as they may seem, shape the way people experience the world and the way they perceive themselves in it. The key to mastering suggestion is understanding how to plant these subtle cues without the other person realizing what's happening. It's about weaving the idea into the fabric of the conversation so that it seems natural and effortless. A simple phrase, a well-timed compliment, or a casual mention of a shared experience can all trigger deep emotional responses that shape someone's thoughts and decisions. You're not telling them what to think. You're simply creating the conditions under which they come to the conclusion on their own. And the beauty of suggestion lies in its subtlety. It's not forceful or overt. It's like gently nudging a person in a direction without them realizing they've been nudged. This is why suggestion is such a powerful tool in influencing behavior. People love to believe that their decisions are their own, that they are in control. But when you understand the art of suggestion, you realize that you can guide them toward a conclusion without them ever feeling manipulated. They arrive at it themselves, convinced it was their own idea all along. And once that idea takes root, it's incredibly difficult to dislodge. This power can be used in a variety of ways. In a professional setting, suggestion can influence decisions, inspire collaboration, and foster creativity. In personal relationships, it can help strengthen bonds, encourage openness, and build trust. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of suggestion is its ability to change behavior. By influencing someone's thoughts at a subconscious level, you can change how they act, how they perceive the world, and even how they see themselves. Consider how a skilled negotiator operates. They don't rely solely on logic or hard bargaining. They rely on the ability to subtly suggest solutions and outcomes that align with the other party's desires and motivations. By framing the negotiation in a way that appeals to their emotions and desires, they can lead the conversation toward a mutually beneficial outcome without ever resorting to force or manipulation. It's a dance, one that relies on subtle cues and a deep understanding of human psychology. This is the true power of suggestion, the ability to influence without exerting control. It's about creating an environment in which the other person feels empowered to make decisions, but those decisions align with your goals and intentions. It's a delicate balance of influence and respect, and when done right, it can be incredibly effective. Of course, the ethical use of suggestion is critical. It's one thing to use suggestion to inspire positive change, to help others see a better path for themselves. But it's quite another to use it for personal gain or manipulation. The power of suggestion, like all tools of influence, comes with a responsibility to use it wisely and ethically. When used with integrity, suggestion can build trust, create harmony, and guide others toward outcomes that benefit everyone involved. So the art of suggestion is not about tricking people. It's about understanding the human mind and using that understanding to help others reach their full potential. When you learn how to suggest effectively, you tap into a deep well of influence that allows you to shape not only your own reality, but the realities of those around you. It's a subtle yet powerful force, one that, when wielded with care and respect, can change the course of events, inspire growth, and open doors to new possibilities. This is the magic of suggestion. Its quiet ability to shape the mind, to influence decisions, and to guide people in ways they may never fully realize. The final piece of the puzzle is perhaps the most powerful, and in many ways the most difficult to master: the ability to influence someone's thoughts and actions through the use of emotional intelligence. While observation and predictive behavior help us understand the patterns of human action, and suggestion helps us gently guide others in the direction we want, emotional intelligence takes it to a whole new level. This is where you not only understand what people are doing or how they are thinking, but also why they are doing it. It's the ability to tap into the emotional undercurrent that drives human behavior and use it to your advantage. At its core, emotional intelligence is about empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. But it's more than just being sympathetic to someone's struggles or celebrating their successes. It's about sensing how they feel, recognizing the emotional currents that they may not even be aware of, and knowing how to respond in ways that resonate with those emotions. It's the art of being in tune with people, not just on a cognitive level, but on an emotional one, and using that understanding to guide your interactions. When you understand emotional intelligence, you can influence a conversation or a situation before it even starts. You'll know when someone is feeling insecure, when they're afraid to speak up, or when they're desperate for validation. You'll recognize the signs of frustration, and you see the subtle shifts in body language that reveal how someone truly feels, regardless of what they're saying. This understanding gives you the power to adjust your approach accordingly, to mirror their emotions and create a connection that feels authentic and real. But emotional intelligence goes beyond just understanding people's emotions. It's about managing them, both your own and others. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves reacting emotionally to situations? Our emotions can cloud our judgment, making us say things we don't mean or take actions we later regret. But when you develop emotional intelligence, you can remain composed in the face of pressure. You can manage your own emotional responses and stay calm and focused, no matter what's happening around you. This self-regulation allows you to influence situations rather than being swept up by them. This ability to manage your emotions also extends to your ability to influence others in a positive way. When you attune to someone's emotional state, you can respond in a way that helps them regulate their own feelings. If someone is feeling anxious, you can use calm, soothing language to reassure them. If they're feeling upset or angry, you can use empathy to help them process their emotions, allowing them to feel understood and supported. In these moments, you're not just trying to control the outcome, you're guiding them to a place where they can make clearer, more rational decisions. This emotional guidance is incredibly powerful because it doesn't just push someone toward an outcome, it helps them arrive there with a sense of clarity and calm. But emotional intelligence isn't just about calming emotions. It's also about inspiring positive emotions. Have you ever noticed how certain people just have a magnetic presence? They enter a room and suddenly the energy shifts. This is the power of emotional intelligence in action. These individuals have the ability to elevate the mood of everyone around them, to inspire confidence, to create an atmosphere of excitement and enthusiasm. They do this not by force, but by understanding the emotions of others and tapping into those feelings in a way that lifts everyone up. This ability to inspire is what sets great leaders apart. They are not just taskmasters, they are emotional architects, shaping the mood and energy of their team or group. By using their emotional intelligence, they create environments where people feel motivated, valued, and ready to perform at their best. They recognize the importance of celebrating small victories, of offering words of encouragement at the right moment, and of showing empathy when someone is struggling. These leaders know that emotions drive performance, and they use that knowledge to create a culture of success. But emotional intelligence is not just about leading others, it's also about understanding how to navigate relationships. Whether it's a professional connection or a personal one, every relationship is based on the ebb and flow of emotions. Understanding this dynamic is key to building strong, lasting connections. When you understand how to read and respond to the emotions of those around you, you can forge deeper bonds of trust, mutual respect, and cooperation. This also means being able to recognize when emotions are running high in a conversation and knowing how to navigate it. People can become defensive, combative, or upset in the heat of the moment, but with emotional intelligence, you can defuse those tensions. You can help people see things from a different perspective, offer a listening ear, and bring the conversation back to a place of mutual respect. This skill is particularly important in high-stakes situations, where emotions can cloud judgment and cause unnecessary conflict. However, emotional intelligence is also about recognizing when to give space. Not every emotional situation needs intervention. Sometimes, people just need time to process their feelings. Recognizing when to step back and give someone the space to work through their emotions is just as important as knowing when to step in and offer support. This balance of knowing when to act and when to hold back is a hallmark of emotional intelligence, and it's a skill that can take years to refine. The real magic of emotional intelligence lies in its ability to create lasting change, not by forcing actions or manipulating people, but by inspiring them. When you can connect with someone emotionally, you don't need to convince them to do something. They'll want to do it because they believe it aligns with their feelings and values. This is the true power of emotional intelligence. It allows you to influence others not by controlling them, but by connecting with them on a deeper, emotional level. And once you've mastered emotional intelligence, you'll find that it's not just about influencing others. It's about creating a positive feedback loop in your own life. The more you understand and manage your emotions, the more you can build stronger, more authentic relationships. The more you understand the emotions of those around you, the more you can create environments where everyone feels heard, valued, and motivated to perform at their best. This emotional awareness and regulation create harmony, build trust, and foster a sense of community wherever you go. In the end, the greatest influence you can have on others is not through manipulation or force, but through understanding. By mastering emotional intelligence, you unlock the ability to guide, inspire, and connect with others in ways that are truly transformative. It's not about controlling anyone. It's about understanding them, empathizing with them, and helping them be the best versions of themselves. And when you can do that, you'll find that the world opens up in ways you never imagined.